Hello and welcome. I'm your guide today, a hotel AI specialist, and it's my pleasure to welcome all of you, the students of Europe Hotel School, to this part of your online learning journey. We're about to dive deep into one of the most make or break moments for any hotel's food and beverage outlet, the grand opening. So let's get right into it. Here's our game plan. We're going to walk through these 5 key stages. We'll start with why this is such a high-stakes event, and we'll go all the way through to what happens after the last guest leaves. Think of this as your strategic playbook for a launch that doesn't just go well, but actually sets you up for long-term success. All right, let's jump into section 1. It's so easy to think of a grand opening as just a big, fancy party. But trust me, it is so much more than that. This is your big public statement. It's the moment you plant your flag and declare your spot in the market. This quote really hits the nail on the head. We're talking about earned media. Now, that's not the advertising you pay for. This is the real deal. The articles from food critics, the posts from influencers, the features in lifestyle magazines. A grand opening is your single biggest shot to get that kind of buzz. And you have to remember, you only get one chance to make that first impression. Let's really unpack this definition, because every single word here matters. Operational readiness? That means your team is a well-oiled machine and the space is absolutely perfect. Establish the outlet's market position? That means you're not just opening, you're telling the world exactly who you are, what you stand for, and why they should be excited. This is strategy in action. So that naturally leads us to our next phase, figuring out your objective. Before you even think about designing an invitation, you have to be absolutely crystal clear on what you want this event to accomplish. That one core decision is going to shape everything else you do. Which brings us to the most important question you'll ask during this whole planning phase. Who are you inviting? And let me tell you, the answer can never be everyone. A guest's value isn't just about who they are, it's about what they can do for you. Are they going to write a great review, create social media buzz, or book a huge corporate event next month? That's how you measure value here. So who are we talking about? Well, here are your key players. You've got your local media, the food writers who give you credibility. You've got the social media influencers who create that immediate visual buzz. And then you have people like corporate event planners. They represent a pipeline of future revenue. A smart guest list is a strategic mix of all these profiles. Now, once you've figured out who these VIPs are, you absolutely cannot leave their experience to chance. You can't just cross your fingers and hope they have a good time. That's why you need a dedicated VIP liaison. This person is the single point of contact, making sure every key person feels seen, feels special, and has a totally seamless experience. This role isn't a luxury, it's critical. Okay, so we've got our goals, we've got our guest list. Now it's time to build the buzz. The mission is simple. We want to create a wave of excitement and anticipation that crescendos on the night of the opening. And you've got to follow a timeline. There's a reason for this order. First, you get your story straight with a bulletproof press kit. Think amazing photos, the menu, the whole narrative. Then you stagger the invitations. This creates a sense of exclusivity and makes managing the RSVPs way easier. And finally, you prep your leaders so they can tell your brand story with real passion and authority. And now, it's showtime. The day is here. All that planning, all that strategy, it all comes down to this one night. And on launch night, your execution has to be more than good. It has to be absolutely flawless. We're talking about taking your normal high standards and kicking them up another notch. How do you manage that level of detail? Well, you live and breathe by the BEO, the Banquet Event Order. This thing is your operational Bible for the night. As you can see here, every single touch point is planned and confirmed. From the efficiency of the coat check to the exact temperature of the signature cocktail, nothing, and I mean nothing, is left to chance. This is what integrated management looks like on the ground. So, what is the standard we're aiming for? It's not 99%, it's 100%. Your adherence to the standard operating procedures, your SOPs, has to be absolute. With the most influential people in the city in that room, there is literally zero room for error. Okay, the event is over, the last guest has left, so we're done, right? Not even close. In many ways, the real work is just beginning. This next phase is all about grabbing the momentum you've created and successfully transitioning into a fully operational, day-to-day business. This slide shows that pivot perfectly.
The grand opening is the bridge. You're shifting from a private, invite-only event that was all about building anticipation to going open to the public where you have to fulfill the promise you just made. You're going from comps and promotions to full capacity at standard pricing, day in and day out.
So, what do you do the very next morning? Three things are non-negotiable. First, you're monitoring the media like a hawk. Every review, every blog post, every social media tag. Second, you are proactively responding to feedback. You thank people for the positive comments and you address any criticism quickly and professionally. And third, you get your F&B and marketing teams in a room for a debrief to figure out what worked and what you can learn from.
When you look at the whole process, a successful grand opening is really the ultimate demonstration of integrated management. It's that beautiful moment where the F&B team's obsession with operational details comes together perfectly with the big picture strategic vision from sales and marketing. It's one team, one goal, one flawless execution. And that really brings us to the final thought I want to leave you with. The launch event. That's just chapter 1 of your story. The real test is whether you can tell that story consistently, night after night, to every single guest. So as those doors swing open to the public, the real question is this: is your team truly ready to deliver on the promise you just made to the world?